At one point, I was on the team that was taking down more office space than anybody in the world. Every 3 days, taking 20 to 30,000 square feet. It was one of those times of my life where you'd wake up in a hotel and go, "Where am I? What am I doing? What part of the world am I in?"
Cash flow? Cash flow? Did you clear your cash flow?
Hey, Bill, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. Well, thanks for jumping on this episode with me here. It's been a long time since we've caught up, so I'm really excited to kind of hear what's going on in your world.
Yeah.
Just for the
Yeah. Thanks.
listeners, what's
Yeah.
that?
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat about this, and we'll see what crazy things I say today.
Sounds good. Yeah, for the listeners, so you used to be a Philly guy, recently moved down to South Carolina.
Yep.
One of the partners of Empirical Consulting Solutions. Do you want to do a quick intro for yourself and sort of like your background and what you do?
Yeah, you're doing a fantastic job. We started Empirical about 6, 7 years ago. I didn't. We started Empirical 10 years ago. My partners did. I joined them 6, 7 years ago, and we provide a solution to the lower mid market. About half our business, a little bit more than half our business, comes out of the private equity VC world. The other half comes from privately held companies, and we work with companies that are in or want to get to growth mode and are struggling in different functional areas. It could be sales or marketing, or it could be HR or recruiting or whatever they need. And we provide them not only that strategy that you'd expect out of consultants, but the execution piece, which is typically missing. Everyone's hired consultants and they come in and they tell you what's wrong. They give you a binder, they leave. We had hired those people when we worked at our corporate jobs, and we said, no way, we're not doing that anymore. So this is what we provide. So yeah.
The joke is consultants, it's like a vending machine. You put in $1 and get out a PowerPoint.
Yeah. Yeah. They're the people you call if you want to make things worse, right? It gets worse as they tell you what's wrong and then they leave. So
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Horrible. Yeah.
How's the remote life down in South Carolina, by the way? It's one of the things I wanted to chat with you about is just like you moved down to South Carolina. I don't, no friends or family down there, right? So it was just a total relocation, working remotely. What's that like these days?
Yeah, it was my wife and I were working remotely as it was, through the pandemic, and we said, man, our kids are coming up and they're going to school. My one had gone, my other one was going, and we said, if we're going to make a move, this would be the time to do it. And I was cold, Brian. I was tired of being cold. I was cold all the time. It seems like winters in Philadelphia now last from like November to May, and then it goes from that to hot summer. So I was like, I can't do this anymore. We took a look around. We went to Tennessee and we went to Florida and South Carolina, and we came to this community that I'm in now, and we just absolutely loved it. And we've had a great time. Working remotely has been fine. It's great because I got a fantastic airport nearby. It's only 30 minutes away, Savannah Hilton Head Airport, and I can get in and out easily. And it's weird because they're like friendly there. They're like friendly airport. They were voted the #1 airport in I think the Southeast here just recently. So
I had that experience in Denver when TSA was being nice to me. I was like, wow, this is a totally different experience. I didn't know that the TSA agents were friendly.
Yeah. I didn't either. I'm just used to it. I was just back in Philly the last few days, and I'm back quite a bit and visiting some folks and doing some work. And I had forgotten how I'd been maybe 3 to 4 months since my last visit, how aggressive even on the roads everyone is. And when you're down south, people are a little less aggressive, so a little bit more mellow. So I've been chill.
I lived in Florida for a couple of years. This is over a decade ago, and I remember my first Florida experience. I coming right from Philly, get in, drop off the U-Haul at my apartment, and I go out to the grocery store to get some groceries for the kitchen. And the lady in front of me in line was like this older lady, obviously retired, and sitting there counting pennies out of a bag to buy her groceries. And I'm like, just like, holy shit, man, hurry up! I got stuff to do.
Oh,
Just bringing my Philly energy down to the South.
Yeah, you do learn to chill pretty quick. It can be a little frustrating at times when I'm trying to get to, like that to lunch or something, and everyone's going so slow. But you get used to it. You get used to it. But I
Yeah.
like it. I love being down south. It's a lot of fun, and like I said, I can get to my clients. We can go all over the place. And we had a fantastic year. We've had a fantastic year, so it's been all good. So,
Yeah, cool. So a couple things I think we can dive into topics here. One thing you didn't mention in your intro, you used to be, what was it, VP of M&A at Regis, and acquired a number of real estate properties for Regis and kind of built that business out. And I know we've had many conversations on your back deck and at the fire pit,
yeah,
kind of talking about the WeWork thing as that was unwinding.
yeah.
And it was kind of interesting to hear, like, the venture backed side of this, shared workspace versus more of like the real business fundamentals behind the shared workspace business.
Yeah,
So I'm interested
yeah,
in chatting with you about that. And I also
yeah.
saw you were just at, what was it, M&A East conference?
I
Uh,
was, I
yeah, would
was.
love to hear about that too.
Yeah, yeah. We can definitely talk about that. Yeah, the Regis days were great. I was the VP of sales, but we all wore multiple hats, and it included business development and helping select sites and grow the business. And at one point, I was not just me; we had a team, but I was on the team that was taking down more office space than anybody in the world. We were every 3 days taking 20 to 30,000 square feet. And it was one of those times of my life where you'd wake up in a hotel and go, where am I? What am I doing? What part of the world am I in? It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy, but it was a lot of fun. And Regis had a cool model, and they were one of the early innovators, along with this other company called HQ. And Regis bought HQ in my career, and then we had this massive network of facilities. They were based in and around individual offices, and it was when the WeWork days came along. Co-working was starting to go. WeWork did not invent co-working unlike most people think. WeWork was the innovator and the creator of co-working. They weren't. It had been around. It had just been kind of disorganized, and wasn't a whole lot of large groups doing co-working. That wide open spaces, not these small offices, but wide open spaces, a very communal, very, let's all get along, have a lot of fun. And then Adam came on the scene with WeWork, and really, man, that guy could sell. I don't know if you've seen We Crash, Brian, but
Have, yeah.
it's some of what I know and what I've seen, some of it's true, some of it's embellishment of kind of it's always a caricature of the person, but he could sell and convince people that he had something that was really special. And I don't know if they actually ever did, but as we know, you sell the vision and the image, and that's what he did. He did that really well, really well.
Well, I
So,
did the math at their peak. I was just kind of curious about it, and I think their peak valuation was like $50 billion, and they had 500 locations. So I'm kind of doing the napkin math here. So somehow each location generates $100 million of value.
yeah.
And I was just, and I was immediately, when I was kind of crunching the numbers on that, I'm thinking about you and kind of like the stories I've heard of your growth strategy at Regis, and it was just kind of like one of those pie in the sky, funny money, VC
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
stories.
Yeah, and unbeknownst to me too, that whole world got started. And I think I've told you the story. We Adam was doing well, and he was on the radar, but he had like 4 locations, and he didn't have that crazy valuation. And I can't remember when this was, but it was early days. I can't remember the year. But Mort Zuckerman ended up connecting with us, and Mort owns U.S. News and World Report and Boston Properties. Uh, Great guy, and he was one of our landlords. Who obviously we didn't interact with him a whole lot, but he said, "Hey, I want to come and take a look at your location in New York." And we had like a newer co-working space, and he came and toured with us. We showed him the whole facility, and he loved the location. Asked a lot of questions, very insightful. You could see him processing. And unbeknownst to us, he was talking to Adam at that time. He left our facility, and 3 days later, we read in the paper that he wrote a check for $300 million to
Wow.
Adam and WeWork. And that was really the initial of the frenzy, that crazy math, where people started getting crazy because you get someone like that in the VC world or early days, angel, whatever he would have been considered at that time. When you get someone like that backs you, everyone else takes notice, especially when they stroke a check for 300 million. That's crazy, and everyone, he just rode that wave then, and everyone jumped on and wanted to give him more and more money until it came to SoftBank, and then SoftBank went crazy. They really believed in him and wrote the billions of dollars in checks to get everything going. So,
Yeah.
but
So
yeah,
what was
you're
his
right, Brian.
mark?
Never worked. Never worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got, I guess, lost in the sauce, as you could say, or caught up in the, the sales pitch, I guess.
Yeah, it really did. Now, I think Mort did okay because I think a lot of his money came back out early when SoftBank came in. So he probably did well with his investment. But there was a lot of people that just got really excited. You see this too. It's kind of follow the leader. There's a handful of really influential VCs and people, and when they make big bets, people pay attention. They go, "Wow, that company must be something special because these people are smart." And smart people don't put their money in bad places. And I think we all recognize that's a great way to grow a company is to get the attention of somebody that got money that makes a difference. Not all money is equal, I guess, so to say, right?
Yeah. So I'm curious. This is a good pivot to what you're hearing at that M&A East conference. Obviously the markets are just getting crushed right now. I was looking at Twilio trading at 3 times revenue, which is just mind blowing
Right?
to me.
Yeah,
They were at like
crazy.
20 plus times revenue or something, or 15 plus times revenue or something. But what are you seeing? I know you're really close to a lot of PE people and VC people. What are you seeing, and what are they talking about as far as deploying capital and kind of weathering whatever's to come?
Yeah, it's a crazy market right now, and there's a lot of uncertainty, I think, is the word in the world. Some markets are still very hot. We work with everything from manufacturing and industrials to SaaS and high tech, and we have different components of our business that do different things for those groups. In the SaaS world and the tech world, the software world, we were seeing multiples as late as January of 10 to 14 times the revenue. That was the going rate. And we were seeing deals get done so fast because everyone was worried somebody else was going to come and swoop in and steal their deal. And you had an LOI, and it wasn't unusual for us to see terms that were 30 days. You had to have the deal done or you were going to lose the deal. It was going to go back out to the marketplace. Today, we're seeing those same deals trade in the 6 to 8 times revenues. And not all of them, but especially the more established, higher dollar companies, they've really backed off their higher multiples that we saw, just like I said, just 8 months, 9 months ago. It was pretty crazy. Now, on the other side, if you're in the manufacturing world, everything's starting to come back on shore, and they're trying to move supply chains and get all that stuff done. Those folks have seen an increase in the last 8 to 9 months, where we've seen doubling of valuations from those companies. They don't trade on revenue; they trade on EBITDA. But we've seen EBITDAs go from you could buy good companies for 4, maybe 5 times, and we're seeing those creep up to 8, 10 times. For the right company. So
Yeah, I've been
it's a
seeing the
mixed
same
bag.
thing. I've been getting a lot of, I've always gotten, over the last few years, a lot of PE outreach to, discuss acquisition of my company. And I'm sure you guys have the same thing. And, I've been seeing deals in our space starting to get north of 10x EBITDA, which is just pretty insane to me. I always just had the number of like 3 to 6 in my head as what the valuation would be, and now it's double that. Pretty wild.
Yeah. We've had this discussion too, where when we started this company, we were doing it because we loved what we did and we didn't want to do it for corporate America anymore. But we never thought that there would be a lot of value in a business services group and a consulting group. But we have everything from family offices to PE firms to professional services groups, accounting firms, and everything else, calling us every week. And the numbers keep getting bigger and bigger. We always said, hey, we wouldn't sell, but sometimes the numbers start to get really crazy, and it happens. You do things, and I think they're looking at you guys and us because we bring something unique to the table, and you guys at CureTech have done such a great job at packaging all that stuff that was always so complicated and convoluted, and making it available for all those companies out there. And you guys are kind of that one-stop shop, and that's being a comprehensive solution provider is just critical today. Just critical.
Yeah, cool. So just curious, what's your kind of prediction for the next couple of years with I guess macroeconomically, but also with the PE markets?
Boy, you're asking me to be an economist? I don't know if I could do that. That's really difficult. We listened to a lot of conversations when we were at M&A East and talked to our private equity partners, and they're seeing, and it's just uncertainty. I go back to that. I'm going to cop out on you, but it's a lot of uncertainty in what's going on in the world, and they're taking it day by day. Now, I will tell you, because the markets have softened up, people that can are moving more and more money to their private equity partners. And these guys, for the most part, and VC and private equity, aren't having a whole lot of difficulty raising funds from what most of our partners that we talk to. They're able to set up new funds and get them subscribed pretty quickly. But that then the challenge is they've got to find those deals and then outperform the marketplace and continue to perform like many of them have. And that's been their challenge. Depending on the sector you're in, it's harder and harder to find good deals and find companies that are worth making those type of big bets on. So, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sure where things go. Macro size, it seems like we're in for at least somewhat of a bumpy ride over the next 12 to 24 months. It may be up and down, but I think everyone would agree it would be a little bit bumpy.
Yeah,
so,
it's interesting.
Yeah.
So to kind of change gears here a little bit, you've very successfully with ECS, you guys have sold into a lot of PEs, VCs, family offices. So the listeners of this show oftentimes are going to be leaders of tech companies, whether it be services or SaaS or some kind of tech-enabled service. And a lot of them are looking to access growth. So they're trying to, grow their business. And, obviously there's a delivery component to that. But then on the sales side, what's some advice or some insights you have around how to access portfolio companies of these investment firms? How do you build the relationships and sell into them?
Yeah, it's not a it's not a one-shot deal where you can throw an email at somebody and they're buying from you immediately. You know this as well. Email and some of the standard stuff is good ways to get through the door, but we found a lot of success starting with a portfolio company, going to one of the portfolio companies, and I'll tell you. Early days, and we still sometimes do this for new relationships to prove our worth. We did stuff for free, and we took discounted on some of our services because we just wanted to prove our ability to do what we do. And the first question you always get is, "Have you worked in PE ever before?" When in our world, and when the answer was no, the door is shut. So we went to those portfolio companies directly and started working with them, and then looked for introductions up into some of the private equity firms. Others we went direct to, and we offered our services and showed how we were unique and what we brought to the table. And we did that in a very succinct way and a very value-driven way. This is the value we bring, and we're always about that. That's everything we do is very value-centric. And in the PE and the VC world, it's all about value creation. It's what can you do to help us execute our plans and create value. They typically have a strategic plan. They just don't have enough resources and horsepower to execute that plan. So that's the gaps we fill in. We know that's the value we bring, and that's what we do. So
Cool. Yeah. So kind of like early days starting out, you would go after the individual portfolio companies and then move your way up into the PE.
yep.
Most PE typically, from my experience, has, controlling share of their portfolio companies. So I'm assuming you're probably dealing with like a C-level, a CEO, or somebody at the C-suite, and then they probably still need to get, for the type size deals you guys are doing, they probably still need to get approval from the PE. Is that right?
Yeah, that's not uncommon. Yeah, sometimes there's small deals and they can hire us and do whatever. Other times they do go up the chain and ask for approval. If we're say north of 100 grand or 150 grand, they ask for approvals on some of those deals. But a little bit of both. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, we always go. We're in at the C level, and it's typically CEO or CFO. And we're solving some macro problem they have, and they come to us and they say, "Hey, this is our issue." We listen, do a little discovery, and then yeah, there's usually some sort of connection to an operating partner at a PE firm. So we take those opportunities to meet them, chat with them, share with them what we do, and walk them through our capabilities. So
Cool. Cool.
yeah,
Yeah. And then,
yeah,
it's definitely relationship driven. I've seen in the PE space. So has it
yeah.
been a lot of just kind of like referrals? You get introduced to other firms, or do you have more of like a targeted hunting strategy where you're going out and specifically seeking certain firms and
Yeah.
putting yourself in front of them?
Uh, the answer is yes and yes. We the easiest way for us to get through the door is we on a regular basis have sit down conversations with our partners, and we'll say, hey, think we're doing a pretty good job for you. Is there any other folks that you could think of that might be a good introduction? Most of our PE partners are pretty open and they'll let you go wherever. Some don't want to. They don't want us walking across the street to their competitors or somebody else and helping them succeed where we've helped them. So sometimes we're our worst own enemy, but we do then target people as well. We for M&A East, we had a list of people we wanted to talk to. We talked to some, had initial conversations, and we did that very proactively, where we reached out and sent them a couple of things, had a very informal conversation, and just opened the door to having that, knowing that the need wasn't there today, but the need might be there tomorrow, and we want to be the top of mind when they think of us. So
Cool. Cool.
yeah, yeah,
Now, your expertise has always been, definitely on the sales side. So, building relationships, closing deals, bringing things
yeah,
into the company, which is, kind of my area as well, at Curotech. And we have some of similar strategies. Like, we use a blend of, and I know you guys too, like a blend of outbounding and getting right to the customer or the prospect. There's a blend of inbound strategy where you're doing, SEO or content marketing or email marketing. And then there's, partner channels where you've partnered with, we do the same. We partner with technology platforms and, referral channels and all these different sales channels. Can you talk a little bit about what you've seen to be the most effective, and if that's
yeah.
been changing recently for you?
Yeah, really. Yeah, both really good questions. Yeah, it has definitely been changing. And I don't know if it's a function of the environment or a function of our age and where we're at in the growth of our company. But we've seen always, historically, our referral partner network has been our number one growth area. That's where it represented at one point 75% of our overall company growth,
Wow, really?
and new business. New logos was coming from our referral partners.
We're at
What we
50 plus. Outbound is our biggest channel.
outbound is,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
interesting.
Now, what's interesting is outbound is becoming one of our bigger channels too. I would tell you 3-4 years ago, outbound was probably 10%, and that has grown to probably 30-35% now. And our referral partner program is down to about 45-50%, depending on, I hadn't looked recently, but I think it's right around 45-50%. And then the outbound stuff has really started to grow. So we're seeing those initial, again, maybe it's a function of the age and the how people want to be approached. I'm not sure exactly, but to your point, I think you make a great point. you can't do one thing and expect all of your business to come that one way. If you do, you're missing a whole lot of business. And when the market changes or something shifts in business, you have to start all over again. So we use multiple channels and multiple places, from events to knocking on doors to whatever we can do to get through the door to chat with people and build a brand. You gotta build a brand, and people got to know who you are and what you're all about. So
Yeah, cool. Yeah, one of the things we do for outbounding, we have we start with the data is really important. So the actual prospects we're targeting and getting it segmented really cleanly. It's manual effort. I have a full-time person and several contractors that are just responsible for collecting and sorting the prospect data before we even run campaigns on it.
yeah.
And we'll get pretty deep into siloing it by technology, by company size, by the type of industry or the type of company it is. Like we may have a campaign that's focused on a certain company size that's a SaaS business that uses a specific type of technology. So when the messaging hits, it's like really just hyper specific, and that's been one of the key elements that I believe sets apart. I get outbounded all day long. 50 emails a day probably from outbound, and 99% of it's just total garbage. And like I'll get like an outbound of just like trying to pitch me janitorial services or something, and just ridiculous stuff that's just totally off base. But how do you guys do outbounding in a way that your prospects receive your pitch and it resonates, and they're like, the best for me is when the response is like, hey, this is amazing. Perfect timing. I was just having this call this morning about this problem. I'd love to get on a call. Like, here's a couple bullet points of what I want to talk about. That's a response to a cold email like that is, that's like the holy grail of what we try to achieve. What do you guys do for that?
Yeah, you are so spot on. And we make fun of those emails. I've got a guy that on my team who handles all of that for us, and he and I will share every day. We get some really bad emails. So I love the ones that misspell your name or call you Fred or some oddball name, or you can see their software didn't work and it didn't drop the name in or what you are. And here's my favorite. These are my favorite. We reviewed your website, and they clearly have not reviewed my website, because on my website it shows we're marketing people and we build websites. And we've reviewed your website. We think it's really poor, and we can really help you create a really good website. And I love messing with those people. I'll respond to them and I'll go, "Did you really read my website? Because did you see that whole section on website development that we talk about? I think you missed something, or someone missed something overall, or you need to get a new list." Yeah, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But you're spot on. There is no. It's hard work, but I'd rather not send an email or anything outbound that's going to affect my brand or what I do, if it's not directed to who we want. And we're really careful. We've used a whole host of. You had turned us on to a couple, and we've used those and continue to use those. And we're trying some new platforms, and we're always trying new stuff. But that data is the key to everything. And if you need to spend half an hour to get 3 good emails out, spend the half an hour to get 3 good ones. Don't send 40 that are crap, because 1, you'll get blacklisted. 2, you're going to destroy your own brand, and you can do that in a hurry. And once you send a bad email, and like us, people share bad emails, your brand gets in the toilet in a hurry. Yeah, I had one the other day, Brian. You're going to love this. The guy said, "Hey, I need your services. I need to hire you for some services work." So of course you're going to say, "Okay, what are you looking for?" I'll respond, "Well, let's jump on a call." And then they proceeded to do a demo and try to sell me on lead generation. They were trying to sell me lead generation. I said, 1, I don't appreciate being lied to, and I figured it was a lie, and so I was kind of prepped. And I said, 2, you guys, this is no way to do business. Does anyone literally sign up after you lie to them to get us on a call? Well, yeah, people do all the time. I don't know who you do, but you're not going to get mine, and I'm going to make sure everyone knows who you are, because I don't want anyone to use you. So
my favorite's when I literally just get calendar invites for meetings.
Oh, yeah.
Like I never talk to anybody, and just like a calendar invite shows up, and I don't know. I guess they're just hoping I just like say yes to everything and just show up to a meeting. Just I don't know what this meeting's about, but I'm here.
Yeah, I'm gonna show up, and it's crazy. You don't need janitorial support, janitorial help, and
No,
you're
I
just not
mean
going to show up to a random meeting for that.
we got that covered. It's
Yeah, what is it with the janitorial ones? I get like six of those a week now. I mean, there must either be a an influx of need, or maybe they're just really struggling driving business. But yeah, and I love the ones then too that come to you and they say, "Hey, this is our pitch," and then they go, "And if you're not the right person, could you send my pitch to the right person in your company?" I are you serious?
oh man.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. Like the ones where it's like just give me a one number response. One for this, two for this, three for this.
Oh yeah, there was I can't remember. There's a sales guy that started that. He swore that that's the best thing ever because people are too busy to write a response. But yeah, and I've had people swear to me that it works. But again, I don't want to do anything that kills my brand. I'd rather be on point with you. Hopefully, I've done my research and homework, and I know what you're all about, and I'm going to send you a relevant email. And like you said, when you catch them at the right time, people do respond to cold email. They do. It's just knowing your audience and being respectful of who they are, and knowing that you have the right person as much as you can. There's people move all the time, but
Sure.
do your homework. So
Yeah, so let's go down funnel from here. We're talking about lead gen. Let's go into the sales process because
yeah.
one thing I don't remember if it was you that turned me on or what, but the challenger sales method. That's
Oh yeah.
we're
My
like
fave.
we've baked that into our company culture, like not just at the sales level, but across the company and just the philosophy of like reframing the problem in a way that the prospect is now in a learning situation, like you're teaching them something they didn't already know, not just kind of like regurgitating a pitch over and over, and then like taking control of the sale, teaching, moving them through sort of like that. They have I forget all the stages of the challenger sale, but
Yeah.
there's like the rational drowning, and then
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit about that. I know you're a big advocate of the challenger sales model.
Yeah, they literally should pay me. I need to make some money here. I don't make any money, and I keep promoting and pushing it. But I think it's really it's been that way for at least 5 or 10 years, and it's going to continue to get more and more that way. And at the core, you kind of touched on it, is adding value to your clients and providing them with a learning experience along the way. And if you can't do that in your sales process, or you're not doing that in your sales process, you become commoditized. And then it becomes a race to the bottom, wherever it is and however it is. We all have competitors, and people always like to, especially those procurement type minded folks or finance minded folks, they often want to put you in a bucket and boil you down to get you down to a lower number. And to your point, it's all about understanding that client, sharing with them something they or reframing or taking them. It's a paradigm shift to you were thinking of it this way, but have you really thought about your overall problem, what you're trying to accomplish? I've seen that before with other companies. Here's how we solve those problems. And if you're not selling that way, I think your days are limited in the world, because people don't want to be sold. And no one's ever wanted to be sold, but they don't want to be sold. But they do want to buy. And if you make it easy to buy, and you're giving them something that's not on your website, like features and benefits, you're going to win. So yeah, I'm a big proponent. It's a cool program.
Yeah. So, we just had a sales call this morning. I was on with a prospect, and they brought a problem right to the table. Didn't really understand the problem. They knew they had a problem. They knew they had a key person that they rely on to do some certain data functionality that happens relatively frequently, and their systems go down for this processing time that needs to happen. And basically, they're just came to the table. How do we what can we do better here? And right on the sales call, turned on screen share. They pulled up their flat files and what the data looks like, and we're talking through. All right, so this is kind of how the data is structured. Let's talk through the steps of how the data moves into your systems, what checks and balances we need, and by the end of the call, we're educating them about the types of systems that they're using, the they have some, their industry, they're integrating with some, not their systems, but they're integrating with some other systems that are just really old, legacy data systems. And
Yeah.
there's some kind of like, legacy tech debt there, but at the same time, they're trying to build a solution that's, modern technology experience or modern technology automation. So we just dove right into it and kind of talked through it. By the end of the call, they're just kind of like a hell yes to the next meeting. And that's exactly what we want from our calls, especially that first kind of door opener call. In that 30 minutes, it's like you have a couple minutes of icebreaker, you get into the problem and, try to spend 5-10 minutes on the problem. And then we want to be teaching them for like the next 10-15 minutes, and then, shoot the shit a little bit, set up the next meeting, and, have that meeting for them be a hell yes. And what's I know you're on a lot of sales meetings. What's like a example or something similar for you that you've recently had?
Yeah, I mean that is spot on, and that reminds me of another philosophy in a book that I love. I love Patrick Lencioni's books. Five Dysfunctions of a Team. I don't know if you read some of those, but Getting Naked talks about that, and we've adopted that philosophy. We not only teach and train like we would in Challenger Sales, but we've been in business now 10 years. We did not have a capabilities deck or any one pagers until we had one pagers 2 years ago. And I literally just built a capabilities deck because we just never felt the need to sell anything or do anything like that. So yeah, I had a client here recently, and that's how all our calls go. We were working with them on a CRM issue, and they said, "Here, we have a CRM issue over here, and this is the problem we have, and we just want to know how to do that." And we're just like you guys. We say, "Hey, we're on a Zoom call. Share us. They're in California, we're in Iowa and South Carolina, and we say, share us with what you got going on." And it was obvious what they were trying to solve for wasn't their root core problem. And we walked them through, and we said, "No, your root problem is X, Y, and Z. You need to do this, this, and this." And we solved the problem for them on the call. They thought this was going to be a massive issue that was going to require a lot of integrations and a lot of problems. We put ourselves out of work on that one because it was literally a simple fix, because they were in the wrong direction. But that's okay, because I know that client's going to tell everyone we're great. We fixed it for free because we were doing that on a discovery call. And I know when they have the next issue or the next problem, I'm getting a call, and they're not calling anybody else. And I've got they call them raving fans. I've got a raving fan that is going to go out there and tell everyone they know that Bill and Empirical are fantastic people. So
yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
One thing I learned from you guys, which was really awesome, I know this is more Jason's world, but the customer stratification, I think that's like a next level. A lot of earlier stage companies, I'm sure, are not doing that, and that's more like a next generation of a company sort of philosophy to start to look at your customers and your data in that way, and start to think about how how your customers fit into different sort of value segments to your business. Do you feel like you could do a high level explanation of customer stratification and what people should be thinking about?
Yeah, at a real high level, stratification is taking your clients and looking at them and dropping them into buckets, both on how profitable they are, how difficult they are to service, and understanding the ones that you want to go after and want to do more business with, and the ones you don't want to do business with, and then tailoring not only your sales and marketing tools towards the ones you want to do business with, but your interaction. You might be looking to upsell or grow those companies that you already have under the umbrella, the tent, and in learning how to do that. I can see right now Jason and Chris yelling at me, going, "That was so dumbed down, and that's not true. You missed half these things," because they've got all the other pieces that move into it, because it's a little bit more complicated than that. But at the end of the day, that's what it is. We just did this for a client of ours just a few years ago in Fort Washington, and they went from $20 million to $50 million, and they went from profitability in the teens to profitability now in the almost 30%.
Wow!
And they did that by just doing that. It took 3 years to get them from that point to where they are today. So
it's still phenomenal growth, though.
Phenomenal growth. And I'm not talking, this is an industrial services group company. This is not a sexy company that has lots of high dollars going around. This is just focusing in on the right people, going after the right ones. And they did that by doing voice of the customer. They listened to their customers first. They sent somebody out there to interview these customers, and they said, "This is what we want." They paired that up to what companies and clients they wanted to work with, and boom, they're wildly successful.
So just to add some more color to that too, I've seen you guys do some stratification. I've seen some of your dashboards, and it's like an algebra equation. There's all these you basically take like the general ledger export of the books and the customer list, and then you're looking at things like revenue, and you're looking at how much time is being spent, or how much resources or cost is being the cogs, kind of what's going into that customer.
Yep.
And then their payment terms, how fast do they pay,
Yep.
what's like the growth potential of the account. There's all these like factors you guys look at, and then you pull out these dashboards where it's like the customers go into like an A, B, C, and then you also build models for customers that are on the cusp, like they're at the top of a C and you think you could make them a B.
Yep.
It's like what is the attribute of this high level C customer that's missing, that's holding them back from a B? How can we make them a B? And then the low C customers, it's like they're just costing us money and wasting our time. So we're just gonna drop those and reallocate the time and money to the ones that are more higher on the scale. And then also one of like the kind of twists that I learned from Jason is that I don't remember the context, and maybe you do. I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot, but it's something like that. Sometimes the A customers are actually not as good as you think in some way.
Yeah. Yeah, you may stratify your customers as A being your high dollar customers, and we see this often where our clients will say, "These are our best customers because they spend all this money." And then we do the analysis, and you take a look at them, and you go, "Well, your best customers chew up this much time, and by the time you get down to the bottom line, your profitability is nil. They all they do is add revenue, but they add zero to your profitability of your company." So we see that time and time again, where people who think they're top customers are their best ones, are really, when they get down to it, they sometimes lose money on those big clients, and then they're afraid to lose those clients because of all the revenue that's going in. But in reality, you're better off losing a client like that, if unless you're in the SaaS world where it's about rule of 40. You're better losing them unless you just don't care about making money. But that goes again to the goals of our clients and figuring out where they're at. That was one of the best explanations of stratification and segmentation I've ever heard, Brian. You're going to go with me on my next sales call. You did it much better than I could.
Yeah, sign me up, man. I'm there.
I'm going to pay you a commission.
Well, there you go. One more thing on that. So with the stratification. So obviously, if somebody listening wants to do this the right way, they can go to thinkecs.com and fill out the contact form, and then they'll get on your calendar, and you guys can talk about what an implementation looks like. Yeah. But secondary to that, if somebody wanted to
empirical, not thinking. Think ECS may take you somewhere else. I'm not even sure where that is, but think
my
empirical.
Bad. Yeah. Thinkempirical.com. My bad. Thanks for the correction.
Yeah, it's okay.
So they'll go to thinkempirical.com, fill out the contact form, and get on your calendar. But if they want to take the first step, just to kind of like dip their toes in on their own, if they wanted to try to get their head wrapped around it, what would you say like the first 1 to 3 steps would look like, just to try to figure out who your actual high value customers are and who you should actually be treating with not only like growing and maintaining your best accounts, but also going after more deals like that?
Yeah, I would download all your customer information out of your ERP, or a lot of companies are QuickBooks or some booking software. Use that, download all of them, and add all the lines and the metrics you want to track: revenue, profitability, day sales outstanding, or their how much they pay, and all of that stuff. Just drop into a line and start taking a look at it. It's amazing to us how many people don't take a look and take the time to look at their business just for 30-40 minutes. But that's a great place to start, and then start seeing where the breaks are. It looks like these are our top accounts, and and revenue wise, and let's call those A's, and these are B's. And there's a lot of really cool information out there in the world that you can you can pull. Texas A&M is really known for their in their business school, their segmentation stratification work. You can look up that as well and get a little head start on what you want to do. But it doesn't have to be complicated. Just doing a little bit of that will help you realize what you have going on, and away you go. And then, from a dashboarding standpoint, you guys do that really well. The CuraTech team, if you've got you're looking to build some dashboards, and you've got a bunch of disparate databases and points. I've never seen anyone do it as well as you guys do it. So you call the CuraTech team. That's
Thanks,
what I would tell you. Yeah.
So what else? Any other topics you want to talk about today? I kind of picked out all the topics here. Anything that comes to your mind to bring up here, or just what are you doing these days in South Carolina?
What am I doing these days in South Carolina? I'm about 55 yards to a golf course right over here, and I've yet to golf because the company's been too busy. I do a bit of fishing because I do love to fish, and I have a pond right there too. And there's these massive bass in the pond. So when I get like 20 minutes, I slide on my boots so I don't get bit by copperheads or water moccasins walking down in the brush down there to go fishing. I fish, I catch a fish, I throw it back in, I feel much better, and life moves on. So it's all good. So,
love it.
But I should golf. I haven't golfed. I've just been busy and haven't been able to do that. But we're now settled in. We did all those, as you guys just recently did. We did all the renovations and all the work. When you move into a new house, you got all that huge list. Now we've been here a year. All of that's sort of coming to an end. So we should be good to go. So maybe I'll do some more relaxing.
It has been a while since we've caught up. So I don't think I told you. So we moved out to Malvern. We got that house in Malvern, and we lasted a year in the suburbs. We ended up selling the house. We're back in the city again.
You're in the city. I didn't know if you made it back. You would tell me you're going. So yeah, you're back in the city. Well, you're an urban guy, so you just weren't made for the suburbs. It's a little different.
Yeah. We had some tree incidences as well. So trees falling on the house, and just the city's the place for us, I would say. But it was awesome catching up, Bill. Next time you're in town, let's grab a cigar at Mojo. But I appreciate it. I think there's a lot of really great nuggets here, especially the stratification. I think I'm going to theme the title of this episode around that stratification conversation. So thanks for coming on here. It's a pleasure to see you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It was great chatting with you again.
Yeah. All right. I'll catch you, Bill.